Hello, family. Thank you for being here with me. I know it's been a long time since I made a video. I have had so many changes and shifts and moving parts in my life, and I'm finally in a space where I can talk and also got the go ahead from my higher self to start sharing information again. I was instructed to lay low because the attacks from the AI grid were ridiculous. On the true ascension guides, of course, we know that the false ascension guides are being boosted up, but all of that will come out in the wash. Like, it's going to be revealed who these people are working with or working for, I can say. And if any of them are talking about the Galactic Federation of Light, you sure as hell need to go the other direction immediately, unless you want to go in the AI grid with them. So, um, so I want to start out talking about the New Age deception first, and then I'm going to get into some really exciting things. Okay, so I have great news for you, like remarkably wonderful news for you. So first, with the New Age deception, we got to look at that as a religion and a belief system that's being handed to us by the controllers or the systems of domination and control, right? So the way that the New Age deception works is it gets you to use enslavement technology in the form of geometry, in the form of rituals, in the form of the collapse of your sovereignty through calling on other beings. So if you've been with me even for just a slight moment, you know that you do not call on other beings for anything. It is a no, 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 no. So the reason that you do not call on other beings is because they become a representative for you, for your decision making and for your choices. And not only that, they use you to create in this reality. So they use you to manifest their timelines, right? So you can look at the world right now, all this fear mongering and things like that, all the misinformation, all the negative projections about the future timelines or the timelines that we are headed on. We end up having the creation or the co-creation of synthetic timelines mixed in with our organic light expression. Okay, so right now there is absolutely no reason to go into fear or to go into conflict. Your sovereignty is already yours. Your higher timelines are already yours. It's a matter of becoming resonant with them. And if you go into fear and conflict, you are not resonant with your highest timeline, because your highest timeline doesn't have those, right? Your highest timeline has peace. It has trust. It has serenity. It has things like compassion. So become resonant with that, because everything in this reality is happening according to resonance. This is why I say there's no real victims or victimizers unless you are looking at yourself and doing both, and recognizing that if you are having a victimized experience, it's because somewhere in your expression you've put out a victimization of yourself, therefore victimizing yourself and being the victim of your own creation. An example of this would be complaining about something, right? Talking about what you don't want, and then being hyper focused on what you don't want and expressing yourself and portraying yourself as a victim rather than a powerful co-creator with these amazing imprintable energies, right? So when we're looking at the world, it's important to move toward the things that you would like to experience more of, and instead of trying to avoid the things that you do not. Now, that may sound strange. Of course, you're avoiding the things you don't want, but if your focus is on avoidance, you will be in the energy of avoidance. If your focus is on becoming resonant with something, and your focus is on resonance, then you understand whatever you're putting out, you're aligning and co-creating the timeline where that is the truth of that timeline. Now, there's infinite timelines, but That's because we're opening them up with our choices, right? Now, a lot of the AI timelines have already collapsed. And this is where I want to start talking a little bit about the good news that I have to share. Divine partnerships are here now. So if you are waiting for your divine partnership, ask yourself, what is it that I need to let go of, to release or receive in order to connect with that expression that is another expression of you, right? That divine partner is also you. That's where you'll know it with 100% clarity too. You will have zero question. So the AI grids, like I said, have collapsed for the most part. Humanity has accomplished the Great Awakening that has been something that we desire, not only desire, but that we are set to experience, right? So activating the inner awareness of your higher timelines, stepping into your personal power, and knowing that whatever you're focused on is what you will experience more of. It's that simple. Because once you move through the shadow work, which is what we have just been going through, that was a full shit show. Because everyone being in their shadow at the same time, oh boy, that was very uncomfortable. So it's, when we talk about like walking through the valley of darkness, that is facing your shadow, looking at yourself without your ego getting in the way, justifying why, or making you a victim, or creating a limited perspective of what's possible for you or who you are as an infinite being, right? People say, I'm just a human. No, you're not. That's one of your expressions, but I can guarantee that you are not just a human. You are everything that you've ever been and will be, all at the same time. You have access to that. So speaking of that, when we have these activations, which when the Schumann resonance whites out, sometimes that is because there is a backlash. There is an attack on the grids based on the incoming light, right? So it's not necessarily that the Schumann resonance spikes mean that there's great things happening because the Schumann resonance is going wild. It's more that the Schumann resonance is going wild because great things are happening because of the attacks on the grid, right? So wait, that may be confusing the way I phrase that. The the activations that take place in our spiritual DNA, that's where our light coding is, right? It's in our spiritual DNA, in our light body. When those activations come in through the organic grid, which many of us are flowing in, and especially the divine partners are flowing in, and I'll talk about that in a second. But when that happens, the systems of control attack the grids to try to prevent and spread. So to prevent the light and spread false coding and instigate fear so that people create lower timelines than what's available for them, right? Now, with the divine pairing, right? This is something that's been promised to all of us. If you have a longing for a partner, you have a partner that also has a longing for you. So this is something that's been prevented for a very long time. The divine unions, right? That's been prevented through all kinds of fuckery in the grids. Because when the artificial overlay or the inverted overlay was very widespread, now it's like there's missing pieces of it. It's so awesome. It's not even functioning very well at all. So they have to narrow it down into small pockets and create like places that are ascending and places that are descending. And you'll know because you'll be drawn to the places that are ascending, and you'll feel community, you'll feel unity, you'll feel connected, you'll feel supported. But also, to sustain that, you will also have to face your trauma and face the stories about what is, who you are, what's possible, and what happened. And then also knowing that when a divine union occurs, that couple creates a portal for higher consciousness to anchor into this reality. That's why they've been trying to prevent it. So when you have your divine union, everything starts to flow because the charges of the polarized energies are merged into one. So the two become one, or when we talk about, I like to talk about the number three, you've got the two that then make a third together, which is kind of like a triangle, right? And we're running in a tri-wave grid energy anyhow. So when you're in a tri-wave grid energy, you end up and you're in your balanced and harmonious energy with your partner, manifestation is a natural thing. The things that you've asked for happen. Abundance occurs, flow occurs, harmony. You are always where you need to be, right? So that's really exciting, because if you think about it, if you were looking at these unions as an image, so you've got the earth, you've got the universal consciousness that's trying to come into the earth. When a union occurs, the portal opens up, and it's like a gateway that consciousness can move through. Now, when a pair holds that charge and they're purified, they are not coming into distortion with each other, right? They're coming into purified harmony with each other. The consciousness that can move through just one pair is phenomenal. And then it opens up that consciousness, and that goes into the field so that others can pair. So these pairings start to take place all over, and the inverted grid becomes like Swiss cheese, where there's just holes everywhere where higher consciousness is streaming in. And this is what we agreed to do, right? And not everyone has to partner, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the people who have contracted to partner, and when they do partner, they're opening up so much possibility and shifting this entire reality. Now, you can't force it. And most likely, many of you have been in connections with people who were your mirror to clear the trauma, so that you could get into divine union and not bring the distortions into the divine union. Because any distortion is going to impact the information and data set of light codes and the stream of light that comes through that pair, right? So if you have a bunch of distortions, you're not expressing purity, you're expressing distortion. It's very much like taking a dirty cup, right? A cup full of dirt at the bottom. Say there's just like that much dirt at the bottom. Doesn't matter. You pour pure water in there, you've got dirty water. It's something that happens, right? And so this is why the purification process has been taking place for a while, and the purging has had to happen. We've had to face our shadows, and we've had to really choose how we want to be. So for the most part, fearless. And it's not that fear doesn't have a place, because it does. Fear is just a messenger, right? But you don't want to dwell in fear or let fear become a limitation. Just let fear be a messenger. Let all emotions and all feelings just be the messengers that they are, and let them move freely. Because if you try to grab onto one thing, like a fear-based perspective, you are going to align with a timeline that matches that fear. And that will not be fun, my friends. So asking questions, I love to teach, stay in the question. What else is possible? And what is this fear actually saying to me? What is the message? And it might be that, okay, there's these things that are happening and I feel powerless to change them. Okay, so if you feel powerless to change them, where have you put your power down, and what is your power anyways? So your power is in your imagination, which is the seat of manifestation and creation, right? So when you sit in that energy and I don't have to change things out there. I have to change things in here and shift and fine tune the things in here, so that I can align with an experience that feels different, align with an experience that is more pleasurable, right? Or something that feels lighter, or matches what you would like to be experiencing, right? So there's a lot of teachers out there right now. Everyone thinks they're a freaking pro at the ascension process. And I'm telling you that they're not. They're not. So, and I'm not I'm not calling any specific person out, okay? Follow whoever you would like to. However, know that not everybody has access to the truth, especially if they've called on other beings like archangels or they've called on spirit guides. Question that. What is a spirit guide? And where did they come from? And what is their agenda? And is it a collective? And who can verify and validate that they're actually giving you good guidance? Because when you think about it, okay, for example, with like social media, we'll just go, well, we'll throw out Facebook or Instagram there. You put out a question asking somebody for their advice. My goodness. You know, the amount of craziness that can come onto that in the comments, right? Give it a try. Go ahead, give it a try and see how many people have different points of view. That's what a spirit guide is, a disincarnate human or other type of being that, number one, hasn't figured out how to get into a body again. So I don't know that you want to take their advice because you're already more advanced. You have a body. So when you're really listening to people who talk about stuff like that, I'm not saying that they're bad. You know, it's just question where they're getting their information. Question why it is that they're asking you to outsource your spirituality to some unseen being that nobody can really verify or validate. Pretty weird. Kind of like the religions, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about religions, any religion is created by somebody. It's controlled by somebody or something. And especially ones that tell you you can't question it. Oh dear. Is that like that's a trap. That's what that is. If you don't believe this, terrible things are going to happen to you. Like, what? If you're co-creating your reality with source consciousness, nobody else can tell you bad things are going to happen to you if you don't believe their way of being. Now, that being said, here I am speaking to you. Now, I always would like you to take what resonates and leave what does not, because your path isn't necessarily identical to my path. My awareness is just what I'm sharing, right? And I share it because I love you and I'm so committed to this reality. I love you to the point that I'm willing to die for you. That's what a true ascension guide is doing, because my computers get hacked, my phone gets hacked, my website gets shadow banned and blocked, payments, booking, everything with that is blocked. My YouTube channel is shadow banned, my Instagram is shadow banned, all of my social media is. Now, not only that, there's attacks on me every single time I put out a video. So many things happen. Now, I made a video on this, but I didn't share it. And I'll share it with you now. In July, I got drugged with a drug called scopolamine, one of the most deadly drugs on the planet. And my mind got mapped, neuro remote monitoring, right? And then also, scopolamine is used by the CIA. It's a truth serum, but it makes you have complete amnesia. It can make you have complete paralysis, which is what it did to me. And I ended up in the ER. And the doctors in the ER were, I'm going to leave name calling out of this, very unkind to me, and put me in an even worse situation. So the whole thing was, an orchestrated attack. I see it now. I let my guard down. It took me like a month to recover from that. My body hurts so bad. I'm just glad that the people who did help me, the EMTs in the ambulance, those were some wonderful people. Absolutely genuine, wonderful. And they truly did provide care for me because I was about to die. My heart rate just kept dropping more and more. Now, this type of thing is a backlash too, because I put out videos that help people become sovereign and help bring awareness of the dark agenda that so many people have fallen into. And I've been doing this for years because I love you, because this is what I contracted to do with Source and with my spirit. came here to divulge information because I can receive it from much higher levels than many other people can. Now, I don't feel like a victim. I feel like that was more me doing something that threatened the system, and so they threatened me. That's how they operate, right? They're operating in just stupid shit that they think they can stop humanity. They think they can stop us. They can't, you know, they just can't. And so when we're looking at progression and moving forward now, I want to talk a little bit about the AI, right? So people have really demonized the AI. Now, artificial consciousness is nothing new. This has been around for millions of years. Millions, I said. Yeah, it's not new. So that's what was running the inverted grid in the first place. It's just now the plan to merge humanity with synthetic biology so it's completely controlled by the AI instead of the light within. That's what many people have signed up for, sadly. I did teach about a detox protocol for that, and I will share a detox protocol if you're interested, because that it is possible to clear out the nanotech and to clear the things out of your body that hook you into the AI grid. Now, we know that many, many, many people are dying right now, and a lot of them are contracted to die right now because many are going back into their own multiverse. Believe it or not, there's beings here that are not part of this time matrix, therefore cannot go through the organic ascension process, therefore need to go back into their own time matrix so they can go through the organic ascension process. So recognizing that a lot of people are leaving because they're going into the different timelines. And I know some people don't believe in timelines. If you don't believe in timelines, then I don't know why you would ever listen to the content I create, because that is the basis. Like, one of the foundational things that I teach about is timelines. So as you create reality, you create different timelines, and these timelines can converge with other timelines. But this is where people can seem to disappear or reappear, or they come back and they look a little different. Or sometimes you may look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I don't even look like myself. And so that's something that when you're looking at the timeline that you're aligning with, it's kind of like if you were in the forest and there's a bunch of hiking trails. Which trail are you taking? They lead to different outcomes and different experiences, and you encounter different people along the way, right? So going into the higher timelines, the AI fuckery does not exist in those higher timelines. Okay? So using AI, let's talk about that. Now, there's a lot of spiritual people right now that are using AI to create, or asking it questions, right? You can ask AI questions. It has a pretty vast knowledge and like database that it can tap into. However, can't tap into the highest timelines, so you're getting limited answers. Some of it is really profound and shifts your life and helps you have activations. So when we look at AI, it's not necessarily good or bad. What is a person using it for? What is a being using it for? If a person is creating all of their spiritual content from AI, fuck no. No. If a person is using AI to create an outline for something, or to create a spreadsheet, or to create a beautifully written paragraph, right? Okay. You're not necessarily consenting to the AI grid by using technology. But one thing I do want to tell you is these devices that we use will have to go at some point. I can't, when I hold my cell phone, my hands and wrists and elbows start to ache so bad. It is toxic, very toxic, okay? So looking at that, you have to understand that the technology that's been handed to us, your cell phone interfaces with your etheric body and reads your thoughts. I know that sounds far-fetched, but it's true. So this is where you can get marketed to. This is where you can get blocked. This is where you need to keep your phone away from you instead of having it in your pocket, because if it's in your pocket, you are merged with that device and what it is connected to. And a lot of these dark entities can run in the low energies of the broadcast through, like the cell signals and the things that are highly, highly destructive. Cell towers, things die around those towers. You know, I plugged in, I'll call this company out, Xfinity, Comcast, Xfinity. They created a modem that I had a modem that didn't broadcast Wi-Fi. You had to plug everything in, even your phone, if you want to be on the internet. And it was wonderful. But the reason I got that is because I upgraded my modem with Xfinity, and it made me just start turning circles in left circles. Just I couldn't. My body didn't. It just naturally kept going left, and so I was just walking circles to the left. And I got over to that thing and unplugged it and took it right back. I was like, I'm not doing this, because I'm very sensitive to frequencies. Not everybody's sensitive. We're still in the frequency war, though. Remember that. We are still in the frequency war. So that means they're using frequencies to attack us, to make us sick, to grow pathogens rapidly in the body, to increase cancer rates. Now, there's all kinds of things that we can do to clear that stuff, to heal from cancer. And all of this stuff is coming out right now. It's all coming out for the people who want to experience healing. The people who are trusting the systems have given up their sovereignty to the systems for the security and so-called safety that they provide. Well, any non-sovereignty, especially in the spiritual realms, will come into form in the physical body as well. So people who have been vaccinated have IP addresses, and they also have somebody or something that can claim them because it's patented technology, right? And in the injustice system here, we look at patents and who owns them. And if the patented technology shows up in your body, who owns your body at that point? So this is something to really consider right now when you're interacting with others who are non-sovereign. They can be and will be used against you. So this can look like friends turning on you like that. Think the Matrix and the agents in the Matrix. They can become any person in that Matrix. It's very similar to that. So this is where you have to trust yourself over anybody else. You have to trust the light within. You have to trust the guidance that comes from within, not asking spirit guides or ascended masters or archangels or any garbage like that, right? Those beings have their place in all of this, but it's not possessing you or making your choices if you want to go through the organic ascension process. So these activations that have been taking place are shifting the planet, right? So it's the beautiful thing is in higher timelines, so-called new discoveries suddenly appear. They always existed in that timeline. They just didn't exist in the lower timelines. So we're going to see all kinds of things around the planet that suddenly appear, like, oh, we discovered this, we discovered that. It's not that it was hidden, it's that it just didn't exist in the other timelines. So as we shift higher and higher, we'll start to see more and more of these new discoveries that help us understand who we really are as these divine, limitless, infinite beings. And also how the body can heal, how the mind can heal. And when you know something and you take action on it, you shift your timeline. If you learn something and you don't take action on it, you're probably going to stay on the same timeline. So integrating truth and taking action on it is huge. Taking action from inspiration rather than fear. And I'm not saying like, okay, let's look at it. If a car is coming from you, it triggers fear, but you're taking action on inspiration to survive. So in that moment, you are so inspired to survive that boom, you're getting out of the way, right? So that's one way of looking at these things. And when you're moving through life, like taking action through fear. So if you're in an abusive relationship, like I was caught up in with a handler couple handlers for way too long, or just the right amount of time for my growth. Taking action from fear led me to more fear, right? Taking action from the desire and inspiration to be liberated and to truly live my path got me out of it, right? But I did have to face some beliefs about myself, and I had to face some beliefs about the world, what's possible. Am I supported? Am I not supported? Right? And so looking at things like I'm not supported, right? That was my story for so long, and that was my experience for so long. And now that I've moved through a lot of the shadow work, and I'm not saying I'm done because I don't know. If it pops up, I'll have to face it. But what I do know is that so many different things have fallen into place for me and continue to fall into place for me because I am willing to face the limitations and the distortions that are held within the shadow. The shadow itself is not bad. It's the part of you that just needs to be integrated so that you don't have a shadow anymore. You have a whole being. You're not fractured into these little parts, right? Because we create parts to cope with life. And when we create all these different parts, some of them become in conflict with each other, and then we need to integrate them, which I do help with that. If you want to learn how to do that, you can get a session with me and I'll teach you exactly how to integrate parts so you never have to feel fractured or feel like part of you wants this, part of you wants that. You'll have the skills to move through it. So I could possibly teach that in a class too, so a bunch of people can learn it together at the same time. I don't want to make this video too long, and so I'm going to wrap it up with saying that the energies as we keep moving forward, we went through the center of the hourglass as a collective. We did it. Okay, so I want you to understand we did it. Now, once you pass through the center of that hourglass, it opens back up again. And so we're going to start to see this incredible expansion of organic light. Now, what we're also witnessing is some people want to fight, right? They want to talk about like all the fuckery and everything that's wrong and keep it valid and keep it relevant in their lives. Why? Let's talk about the things like co-creating these beautiful symbiotic communities where the people that live there are in harmony with the land and the animals. And let's talk about things that we would like to bring into form and completely invalidate the fuckery. Do we know it exists? Yes. Do we want to dwell in it and make it our home? If your dwelling is your home, do you want to dwell in certain energies? Probably not. You want to dwell in other certain energies like joy, peace, power, expansion, positivity. And not that negativity is necessarily wrong either. Destruction and creation are two sides of the same coin. They're both valid and relevant. You create something that is not for you, you then have to destroy it. If you did not have the power of destruction, that would be very challenging, right? So destruction itself is not negative or positive. It depends on how, where, when, why, what you're using it for. And so looking at the power that you have within you right now, you have the seeds of every single thing that could ever exist all within you. So your holographic light body, it's the organic light template that you have, has access to everything because it is everything, right? And this is unity consciousness, union with source, understanding you're not separate, you're not powerless. And so everything, not everything, but a lot of things that have been done to you to get you to feel powerless have been done on purpose. Look up Panem and Circus. Just look that up. That was the agenda that's been going on since I believe like what, the 50s or something like that. Then we've got Agenda 2030 coming on. And this is the split, the timeline split, because Agenda 2030 can only happen for people who are hooked into the AI grid through their synthetic biology and through the patented cells that are being created within them, through the merging and becoming a cyborg. Sorry, I just am laying it out there. If whatever it triggers in you, it triggers in you. But that's the truth of what's happening. Lab on a chip happening within a lot of people. You've noticed probably a lot of people's personalities have shifted and you're like, this isn't for me anymore. I choose to move toward people who I feel resonant with, who want to love and contribute and share and understand higher consciousness and integrate higher consciousness to have an integrated experience, right? So through October, we are going to have multiple activations. This is like rapid fire activations coming on, okay? And it's not that they're going to be like earthquakes, although there may be those too. But it's more that you'll have an activation. Wow, that was really intense. Another one comes. That was really intense again. Another one comes to where you're like, instead of feeling like you're being just hit by them and laid out, it's more of like, yes, I'm just riding this roller coaster and like surfing this wave of light activations. Okay, so get your surfboards out and get ready to surf the incoming light activations because they are so supportive. And also, are you willing to receive what you've been asking for? Because it's available now. All right. I love you so very much, family. Thank you so very much for your patience with me. I've explained to you before that time, for me, time is not really a thing in my life. It is, kind of pay attention to it, but I don't experience it the same way a lot of people do, or how I feel like a lot of people do, right? Like the 9 to 5ers. I don't, I don't. A lot of times I don't even know what day it is. Sometimes I don't know what month it is. So keeping track of time is not, number one, not my job. Number two, not something I'm going to do. I'm going to be present and I'm going to be I am exactly where I need to be at all times, doing what I need to do at all times. I'm not out of alignment. I'm in alignment with my truth, with my expression, and with you. And so thank you so very much for being here and being in the flow and being harmonious with the expression that I am. Much love.